We'll just
Write
talk.
it down. Write it down.
I don't ever remember to write it down.
Well, anyway, my mother went to Pennsylvania, town of Patton, and her sister lived there, Madeline and another sister. And Madeline's husband died, and she was all by herself. So I came down there, me and a couple other guys.
And where was this?
This was in Patton, Pennsylvania. Now, I was in my 20s, I guess. And I asked the guys if they'd like to take a ride down to Pennsylvania. I'd never been there. They said, yeah. I said, pick up my mother. You know. And so we drove down there. And Madeline, spitting image of my mother, and except thinner. And they were both sitting on a porch, smoking like crazy. And I don't know how he found the place, just out of instinct or something. And I asked Madeline to come back to Detroit and live with us, and she wouldn't have to pay nothing, you know, just keep my mother company, because they both love flowers. And I said, boy, that would be terrific. They both like to read, and they would have enjoyed each other's company, and maybe my father, you know, wouldn't have been so brutal. And she said, oh, I can't believe, you know, this is the only place I've ever been. And it's too tragic, because I think my mother would have lasted much longer. The two of them together, man, they were great.
Well, okay, Yonner, so that would be a German name.
German.
And so which family come out of Ireland?
My mother's family.
Do you remember what her name
No,
was?
but see, they were, my mother's mother was a McMullen, and the Yonner married the McMullen. That's
Okay.
my mother's father and mother, Irish and German, and that sure as hell shouldn't work, because they both got tempers, you know.
Really?
Yeah.
Opinionated too.
Isn't everybody? Why not? If you got an opinion, opinionate.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
But most of the Germans I've met, the real Germans, I mean, they're...
Well, I met some old-time Germans. In fact, I worked for one, Mr. Eden, a hell of a guy. He was tough as nails. Boy. He didn't, but if he liked you, and he couldn't do enough for you.
So where did the McMullins come from? Do you remember that?
From Ireland.
Well, I mean...
But what part? I don't know. My mother talked about it when I was a little kid, but talking to her relatives about my grandmother, you know, where she came from. But they all had black hair, the whole family. Madeline and her sister and my mother. My mother had black hair as black as this. Yeah.
That's wild.
My mother didn't really get old till she was after 50, you know. She was still pretty, but it seemed like after 50, she started to fall apart, you know.
But she died relatively young, didn't she?
No, she was in her 70s.
Well, that's...
Yeah.
But
Well, if she'd have quit smoking, and that didn't help her, you know. She didn't live the kind of life that give you any longevity with my old man around too.
I don't even hardly remember him. When did he die?
Oh God, I don't know. I can't remember the years. But they put him in a home. He had a stroke, and he was violent when they put him in a home. They had to have him tied up, and which was tragic.
Yeah.
I visited him. He didn't know who I was. And I gave him an apple and spit it out through the rib. I don't know. Then they broke his arm. I don't know if they did it or they said it was an accident, but I don't think so. Anyway, put him in a hospital and he died in the hospital. They called up when I was there, and my mother answered the phone, and they told her, "Is anybody there with you?" And my mother said, "Uh-oh," you know. She's, are you sitting down? Yeah.
Well, that's a good indication.
Right. So I says, give me the phone, Mom. Says, your father died. I said, really? So I felt sorry for him.
Sure.
Could have been better to my mom. He had quite a name for himself with the Union, like a Hall of Fame, more or less, you know.
Really?
He was a head cracker for the Union. Whenever they had problems, they'd call him,
Really?
and he'd go out and do a job on somebody. I don't know about killing them, but, you know, hurting them.
Just to make them do what they wanted him
Well,
to
what
do?
happened, they would go on strike, and they would have guys come in, call them scabs, and work for less money.
Right.
And here the union guys are not working. So they try to keep the scabs out. And Ford hired thugs from Chicago, New York, to beat up the union guys. But the union guys weren't sissies. They beat up the thugs. In fact, my father said that in the melting plant where they melted the steel, that there's people in there. He says, you might be driving George, you know.
I heard Jimmy Hoffa.
Well, you know, I'm thinking, you know, well, that was before office
Now
time.
he's under some concrete building somewhere.
That's what they say.
Who
Well,
knows?
this guy Vince I go off of, he knows all them people that, you know, that were involved in that stuff. They're all died out now. They'll never find out, I guess.
No.
What happens in a hit like that, say they pay you big bucks, right? But when you do a big job like that, you don't last long either, because
You know.
they don't want any loose ends.
Right.
And if you ever get locked up, they'll say, well, wait a minute, it's something to do life. Let me tell you who killed Hoffa. Boom, the guy gets off scot-free. So they figure everybody, you know. It's a tragic thing.
Yeah, it is. To think that you have to kill somebody just to get your way.
But that was my father. He was, he belonged, they called it the Flying Squadron. He used to have an armband. When I'd come home, I'd see the armband out of the drawer. I know they came and got him. One time, I'm sitting on a porch with this guy, Hank. 2 carloads of guys pull up. I mean, you never seen the ugliest people in your life. Pull up, hey, where's your father? You know, I said, my father's sleeping. He says, go get him. I said, you get him, you know. This big guy got up, I said, I said, Joe, they want you. Whoa, heaven. Slip his armband on, they're gone. He come back with a head crack. A policeman come over to the house one time. He says, your dad home? I says, no. I says, he went out to Ford Rouge plant. He said, that's where I was. He says, tell him I'm sorry. I said, sorry? I said, what happened? He says, well, I hit your old man over the head with my billy club, and your father took it away from me. And threw it on top of the building. I said, you're sorry? He said, I didn't want to hit him. He's a working man like my father, you know, the guy said. So, they were all in the same boat, but they had to do their job. That's the kind of guy he was. I don't know whatever happened to that armband. I think maybe my uncle took it. Because when my father died, my uncle was over there taking clothes and, you know, stuff like that. That was my mother's brother, Ray Yonner.
And whatever happened to him and his family?
He died, she died. I went to a funeral of a cousin. I don't even know if he's related, Franklin. And the guys were over there. I didn't recognize them, you know. Well, they didn't recognize me either. But the father died, mother died, and one of the boys died. They had Timmy. He was homosexual. He died of AIDS. So I never knew this guy, you know, Timmy. He'd come over with his mother, and one time he'd come over with a necklace on. And I'm standing there looking, I says, you know, Timmy, you got the same necklace my mother has. I said, right, Ma? You know, she goes, she knew, but she never told me that he was, you know, gay.
Did he steal it from your mother?
No, he
Borrowed
just
it?
got another one similar to it. You know. He might have liked it, you know. Accessorize. What do you got? Franklin, at Timmy's father's funeral, Timmy came in with a guy. They were holding hands, you know. And we all looked around and said, oh, God, you know. And Franklin looked at him. He says, I'm related to that, you know. Come on, you know. Yeah, Timmy, you know. Let's shake hands with me. And he says, I'm so afraid of getting AIDS, you know. And Franklin says, well, don't let anybody screw you in the ass, that's all. Just like that. I said, oh. And loud, you know. I'm sorry.
And he did die of AIDS.
He did, yeah.
Okay, now, Timmy was Madeline's son?
Who? No, what's her name?
Ray.
Ray, and what was her name? You might have met her. She was a nice person. She had arthritis in her hands real bad. What the heck was her name? Really a nice woman. Ray was all right too, but he borrowed money from her mother and never paid him, you know. And I didn't go for that. And he used to always brag how much money he's making. And I'm thinking, well, you know, pay him on, you know.
Yeah.
I said, next time Ray comes over, I'm going to tell him, oh no, don't say anything. I said, why not? You know, got me madder than hell. That's why he come over, he wanted that gun. You know? He said, actually it belongs to me, because that's my father. You know, my father's father or whatever. I says, I'm sorry, Grandpa gave it to me, not you. He carried it in his lunch pocket. Like, here, I'll show it to you. Cute little thing.
That small of a gun?
Oh yeah, it shoots. It shoots. Yeah.
Holy moly, what is it?
22. I'm gonna take it and see what I can get for it. If
Oh,
I don't get a
gosh.
good amount, I'll give it to you, leave it for you.
Well,
But I might as
do
well
you have
get
it
some-
loaded?
I might as well get some cash.
Where's the safety?
There ain't no safety in it. You pull a hammer back, so you put the bullet in there, and you go like that. And when you want to shoot it, you let it go. Now, I shot it 3 times, right?
Now, you just pointed that thing at me. Quit that.
Oh, I haven't had a 22 bullet in 20 years. When I'd shoot it, it'd jump in here, and I used to have to catch it. I'd shoot it, and it'd jump in here, because I couldn't hold it. You can only hold it with 2 fingers. 1 finger, actually. And when I'd shoot it, it'd go, I'd catch it.
How? I want to get a picture of it. Let me see if I'm getting a picture of it.
Coming up?
Yeah. You take a look.
Oh,
I'll show the boys
yeah.
what you got.
Don't you maybe closer or further away? No, I mean, this, you gotta So it'd be clear.
Oh, it'll be clear. I can show you on the TV.
Okay. See, the problem is there's no serial number on there, and there isn't any name brand. So it might have been made by some blacksmith or something, you know? So it wouldn't be worth that money. It's got a pretty good spring in it, doesn't it? See, he used to carry it.
Well, how'd you put the bullet in it?
Well, here.
Where?
Here.
Oh, what's your hand?
Pull it back. And flip this over.
Oh,
Put it
okay.
in there, close it. My grandfather said he used to keep a piece of wood in there. When he pulled it out, the wood would fall out. But he used to keep it in here. Okay. Of course, they had deeper pockets.
Too cool.
But he used it in coal mines because they were beating up miners then too.
Hey, I can look up on the internet and see if I can find anything of it.
Well, I don't know. It has to have a serial number on there.
But you could have, well, you could take it to a gunsmith and they'd probably be all over that.
I was going to take it down a gun show, but you know what they'll say? It's not worth nothing. They never tell you the truth because they want to make a profit too, you know.
Well, I guess what started that whole story about the rosary, Sandy was going to try to have all that stuff, you know, at the road show.
Right.
And she submitted, you have to submit your name, and then you might get picked and you might not. So you can't just go down there and
It's
they
too
look
bad,
at
like you
it.
get in line and say next.
They don't do it that way.
Okay, they want something real interesting to put on TV, right? So I got this too. This came out of a Rolls Royce. They made these years ago that if you bought a Rolls, they had this in a glove box.
What is it?
It's a razor.
Look at that.
Yeah, it came out of a glove box. See what you do. Let's see, I forgot how this works. Let's see. I don't know how that works.
A Rolls razor.
Well, take this, put that on there. See, back in the 30s and 20s, they used to go for Sunday drives. They'd have this, the guy'd go by the creek and clean up a little bit. Yeah.
Darn, Uncle Gene, you might get a pretty penny for that.
Check it out. Can you read it? I got a magnifying glass.
Yeah,
I got a
made in England.
Oh, okay.
Rolls razor.
Mm-hmm.
There's a 51.
It says 1951?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh.
No. It says 51.
Oh. Number 51.
Yeah.
Because I knew it was much older than that. Hollow ground. Yeah,
Oh, let's see. Wait a minute. What does
There
that
you go.
say? Rolls razor. Ooh, there's a date
here's all
here.
kind of stuff on the
Oh,
box.
there's a date here.
I got it.
It looks like estate numbers.
I got a magnifying glass. I got thousands of them. Oh, here. There's one right behind you. Yeah.
See, something is, I guess, over the use, it's kind of worn those numbers away on that side.
Oh.
Best. Lothead steel.
Ooh.
Let me see if I can get a clear of this.
and I lost the piece. But no big deal.
Rolls. How'd you come across this?
The guy was a used car dealer, and he took it out and gave it to me. It was old rolls. And then he told me that the Rolls owned this company. Rolls something here. Just Rolls Razor, okay. No, all right.
Well, you should be able to find out all kinds of information on that.
But I had this for a long time. Honest John Guzowski, the biggest crook in the world.
Honest John.
And he got it legally registered. Honest John, that's his real name. Now, car dealer. You ever hear of the Tucker automobile?
Yeah.
Well, he owned one. They only made 55 of them. And it would conk out and we used to push it all the way back to the car lot. We'd run it a couple blocks and it'd stall out. And all the guys would push it. 5, 6 guys, nothing, you know. Yeah. Honest John Guzowski.
Well, that's
He was always running.
pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, it is. He said that it was the last year, I can't remember what year that Rolls was, that they put these in the glove box, you know? So I can't remember. I'd have to check it out if I'm interested.
You buy a Rolls Royce and you get a razor free.
That Rolls only cost you how much?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, when I was going out with this girl, her cousin was co-chief on TV, Michael and Sarah. Remember him?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I was going out with her. She was, I used to call her a lesbian, but she was from, not Bolivia, I'm having trouble with the name. Iran. And her brother owned, well, there's a franchise of Big Boy restaurants, and he owned 8 of them. Anyway, I went to a party there, and he says, come on in the garage. Went in the garage, he had a Rolls.
Whoa.
Silver Cloud, the best you can buy. And his mother says, Dad, my son, the big shot, you know. She was all right. And I says, what's that pan under there? Stainless steel pan. And he says, well, that's to catch the oil. I said, catch the oil on Rolls? He said, they leak like hell. I couldn't believe it. Stainless steel, that thing must cost $100 and some bucks. Yeah, it looks like you know, you put biscuits in to cook.
Right, right.
Yeah. Stainless steel, come in a leather thing, you put it in, and when you park it, you put it underneath. Yeah. Silver Cloud. He said, you want to go for a ride? I said, no thanks. I don't want to get spoiled. Then jump in my little car. Put. I hate when they show these midgets, people with 2 heads. My God, you know? Life's bad enough at all watching that stuff.
Reality TV.
Well, I ain't gonna watch that.
Well, isn't it getting rather late for dinner?
No.
What time do you normally eat?
Let's go. On our way.